Hello, and thank you for joining the Thomas Expert Series. We're going to get started in just a minute. In the meantime, I would like everyone to please make sure their microphone is muted. This expert series will be recorded and placed on demand, so please let your colleagues know how much you enjoyed the presentation today. Just to get everyone a little familiar with the chat, I just wanted to say hi and see how everyone's doing. Maybe you'll let me know where you're tuning in from, maybe what the weather's like. I'm over here in Jersey and it is hot and sticky. Florida's hot too. Million degrees in Texas. Rainy in North Carolina. Philly's hot. Awesome. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. So I'm going to turn it over to Amy and Tim here to talk about being an earth-friendly lab.
Well, hello, good morning to some of you, good afternoon to probably most of you. I'm Amy Carson, and I'm the Western Region Manager for Labcon. With me today is my colleague, Tim King. I manage Labcon's West Coast sales region. I'm based in Southern California. Tim is our product manager, who's where Labcon calls home. And the topic we're going to talk about today is being an earth-friendly lab, and it's easy as ABC with Labcon and the ACT label. So I'm going to turn my camera off and we'll get going. All right. So our agenda is pretty straightforward here. We're going to identify and acknowledge that as a plastics manufacturer of single-use plastic, we're part of the laboratory waste problem. Labcon alone manufactures over 1 billion plastic lab parts per year, which are used in labs all over the world. So we firmly acknowledge that we contribute to the problem. Our objective today is to illustrate a program that Labcon has subscribed to help mitigate the effect of lab product waste on the environment. And finally, we will describe a bit about who we are and the sustainability efforts we have undertaken as a participant in the ACT label program. So while critical to the scientific research, disposable lab plastics often have a high environmental impact. The analysis shows that a large portion of this impact comes from the actual manufacturing process. As noted on this slide, the amount of plastic waste generated from the use of products like tips, tip boxes, centrifuge tubes, test and culture tubes, as well as other lab consumables is significant. About 5.5 metric tons of waste per year from research alone. And these figures were pre-COVID figures. So as of August 2021, about 1.5 years into the pandemic, the waste figure actually jumped to about 8.4 metric tons, which is attributed to all the testing and research going on at that particular time. So obviously the problem is significant and it will not go away anytime soon. So what do we do about it? So on the next slide, we talk about improving some sustainability. Labcon is just one of a number of global manufacturers of laboratory plastics, and we all churn out a ton of plastics for critical lab work. Unfortunately, there seems to be no simple, scalable, cost-effective recycling solution, at least yet. We have tried to manage a recycling program at Labcon, but for various reasons, such as logistics, medical waste handling restrictions, transportation, and cost, it was prohibitive to continue that program. And frankly, many people want a recycling program, but few want to pay more for their lab plastics in order to subsidize that. Labcon then attempts to mitigate the effect of our plastic production on the front end with our validated design and manufacturing processes. So choosing Labcon products can actually dramatically reduce your lab's environmental impact. So greenwashing. Well, first of all, we have to understand what that is. We at Labcon define greenwashing as a term that's used to describe an intentionally misleading or false claim about the environmental benefits of a product, service, or company practice in order to increase your profits. So how do we avoid the greenwashing? One way is to validate any company's claim of sustainability. A good way to do that is, having a third party review that organization's sustainability, which gives, an organization's, if they are using a third party to perform that review, then they're obviously being transparent about what they're telling you that it's valid. The ACT program, which is an established third party review, excuse me, is one way to do this. And Labcon has over 600 ACT label products. So what is the ACT label? ACT actually stands for accountability, consistency, and transparency. The ACT label was created by a company called My Green Lab. The ACT Environmental Impact Factor label quantifies how lab products rate in measures of sustainability by taking complex data and distilling it into an easy to understand number. We actually, in the next slide, we show you that My Green Lab created the ACT label to inform US, European Union, and United Kingdom customers how laboratory products rate in sustainability categories, which include manufacturing impact, energy use, packaging waste, and the lifetime of that product. So on the next slide, how do we read this ACT label? The relevant categories of the ACT label, which include manufacturing impact, energy use, packaging waste, and the product lifetime, are rated on a scale of 1 to 10. All of these scores added up give the environmental impact of that particular product. The lower the score, the lower the impact on the environment. And as you can see here, Labcon scored a 1 in manufacturing impact, which is the lowest possible score, and this reflects our commitment to sustainability. The sum of the 4 values gives the environmental impact factor, or which we referred to as EIF. Labcon's EIFs are some of the lowest in the market. And you can actually verify that by comparing one of our products to a like product of a competitor yourself, by using the My Green Lab website, which is www.mygreenlab.com. These ACT labels are actually currently being implemented into procurement platforms. Some institutions and companies that are currently using the ACT label within their procurement system include the UC schools here in California, Harvard, University of Georgia, Amgen, and Genentech, just to name a few. And at Labcon, we try to clearly label all of our products that have the ACT label on them, so that they're very easy to identify. In the next slide, we show you the ACT label for some of our centrifuge tubes. Labcon's manufacturing impact measured per case of product shows a reduction in greenhouse gas emissions, water, energy, and waste since 2013. and the box that transports the products contains up to 46% recycled material by weight. On the next slide, we show you some of our packaging options. We offer many packaging options for our centrifuge tubes alone, from bulk to individually wrapped, and the most common obviously being the racked and bagged versions, which obviously we have too. This slide is actually an example of a search you can do on the My Green Lab website. You can select the manufacturer and search and look for all of the products that manufacturer has ACT labels for. So, and then you can, check one of our labels and compare it to, say, one of our competitors' tip, situations, which is a like packaging option, and compare how they look side by side. At this point, I'll turn it over to Tim to keep going.
Thanks, Amy. So now I'll be talking a little bit more about Labcon and what sustainability means to us. So we were founded in Northern California in 1959, and more than 60 years later, we are still there. Specifically, we are in Petaluma, approximately 45 minutes north of San Francisco in the wine country of Sonoma County. We have grown over the years to supply over 1,000 assorted products to labs all over the world. The 1 billion products made each year, as Amy noted earlier, are all produced in our US-based factory. As you can see, an aerial image prominently shown with our solar power rooftop array feature here as well. Our focus is primarily on consumables such as pipette tips and a vast array of centrifuge tubes and polymerase chain or PCR consumables, to name a few. And long before being green was popular, Labcon understood the meaning of sustainable solutions. So we at Labcon for nearly 30 years have been developing state-of-the-art products that incorporate concepts of eco-efficiency by using the 3 R's, the reduce, reuse, and recycle, by using less plastic in our product manufacturing while exceeding crucial performance requirements. We use pre-consumer recycled plastic that we'll discuss a little later from our own in-house recycling program to make accessory products such as tip boxes and centrifuge racks. And we also maximize our product recyclability by ensuring common materials like 100% polypropylene and polyethylene and cardboard packaging are incorporated instead of co-molded plastic blends and styrofoam that are difficult to recycle. So more so here, we also incorporate biologically sourced resins and refillable packaging to pioneer more sustainable end-of-life solutions. And we like to add the 4th R, the right choice, to think that we are a more responsible manufacturer, so we can empower you to make the right choice and be a more sustainable lab to build a better tomorrow. Over the last 20 years, as a result of our focus on the improvements in these 4 major areas, product design, manufacturing, energy, and emissions, we've achieved considerable progress in the following ways. We've increased our clean energy use, such as solar and wind, by over 90%. We've reduced the amount of energy consumed to make a case of product. We've reduced the amount of water used to make a case of product. We've reduced greenhouse gas emissions, reduced the amount of product waste generated, and we've also been able to eliminate the use of volatile organic compounds. And for example, we were able to switch our graphics and packaging to now be printed using eco-friendly inks that now release 0 volatile organic compounds. That focus has generated very tangible, measurable, and meaningful results, as evidenced by the data on this slide. And in the next few slides, we'll discuss them a little bit more in greater detail, how we achieve this. So for our solar panels, we've been able to reach 93% renewable energy today, as I discussed. And we've installed solar panels as early on our manufacturing facility as 2011. And today this provides us with 27% of our energy usage. Our goal is to increase that percentage year on by adding more solar panels to our sterilization or distribution center that opened shortly before COVID. Labcon was awarded a $59 million grant by the US government to increase US-based manufacturing, and our new facility is expected to be open in 2025. And this new manufacturing site will include the latest concept in eco-construction. To discuss a little bit more about our clean energy breakdown, you can see here how we've been able to complement the solar panels on the rooftop of our facility with our sourcing our energy from a nonprofit locally named Sonoma Clean Power. And on this slide, you can see how the energy supplied by them breaks down into the 93% clean energy, with 30% hydroelectric, solar energy, geothermal, others such as wind, biomass and bio waste, and also on-site solar. Our waste has been reduced drastically by 86% since 2000 on a per case value. As a side note, you will notice that the following slides do not include the latest years, but due to COVID-19, our manufacturing teams were focused on dealing with shortages of components to make sure that we can try and satisfy demand, and we have not had the opportunity to update these numbers yet. But regarding the waste reduction, we have, for example, an internal recycling program where plastic scraps left from tip and tube products, as you can see here, such as the runners, are the little bits of plastic that hold the parts of interest together while being molded. These are ultimately collected, ground into regrinds, and molded into racks, such as our tip racks or polypropylene recyclable centrifuge tube racks. The cardboard used for the cases is made of mixed, new cardboard and post-consumer products. All of our hydraulic molding machines have been replaced by efficient all-electric ones. And where possible, we strive to use high cavity modes and incorporate automation to manufacture as efficiently as possible, and thus reduce unnecessary energy consumption that can often happen whenever making so many products. About 5 years ago, we opened our distribution warehouse essentially next door to our manufacturing plant. Manufactured goods are transported across the road to this neighboring sterilization and distribution center. This tightly controlled product handling process significantly reduces our transportation emissions and ensures our products maintain the highest level of quality and consistency. The sterilization facility utilizes E-beam rather than gamma irradiation to cut down on radioactive waste, while also being able to reduce ultimately an amount of 55 metric tons of carbon dioxide per year from having our shipping facility so close to us. And our goal is to have our sterilizer in that building to be 100% solar powered. If you look at this graph here, you can see that our emissions, in part, thanks to the use of clean energy for our manufacturing since 2000, we've been able to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions per case of product by 89%. And also contributing is the fact that over 90% of Labcon products are molded, assembled, and packaged in our manufacturing facility, as we have just seen on the last slide. So every time you choose a Labcon 50 mil centrifuge tube, you save carbon emissions that are equal to charging 1.7 smartphones. So I don't want to read all of this, but here you can see a list of our green achievements and accolades over the years. But by adding this slide, I wanted to emphasize that Labcon started looking at sustainability back in 1994, when we were the first company to replace styrofoam racks with patented recyclable cardboard racks. Since then, you can see what the journey to sustainability has been for us, as it is not an instantaneous process to reduce the manufacturing environmental impact, but rather it's a series of initiatives that improve steadily to reach the common goal that we have as an organization. In 2018, we teamed up with My Green Lab and joined the Act Label program. And this leads me nicely to the next part of the presentation, where currently we've expanded the Act Label product portfolio to more than 330 SKUs and over 1,000 labels across the US, European Union, and United Kingdom regions. So in summary, to wrap things up, the overall result of our sustainability efforts is independently validated by the Act Label scores, which are among the lowest in the industry. Now that you are more familiar with the Act Label program, you can acknowledge the value here and what it brings to the industry. And our participation in the program gives end users and distribution partners alike the ability to make informed and, more importantly, responsible choices about sourcing consistently high quality lab consumables from an environmentally US-based manufacturer. Becoming a sustainable lab is as easy as ABC with Labcon and Act Label products. Thank you for your time.
All right, everyone, thank you so much, Labcon, for your presentation. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to type them out into the chat. And while you guys are typing your questions, I do want to take a quick moment, share my screen, just to show you that Labcon is running a promotion right now, as well as they have a survey. They also have literature, web links, and videos within their kiosk. You can also access all of our previous on-demand talks. So be sure to hang around the environment and explore the talks and the Thomas Center. And this talk will be on demand by tomorrow, so please bring your customers and coworkers that will benefit from these talks. And I will turn it back over to Labcon for some questions.
I can see that we started to receive some questions in the chat. All right, Beth, we can start with your question. So why doesn't Labcon have a lab plastic waste recycling program? And as Amy had kind of touched on, our recycling program had been attempted by Labcon in past years, but as stated, an economical, stable, and logistically workable and also scalable solution is pretty difficult to manage and maintain, as it requires a lot of buy-in essentially, and nothing is free. So a recycling program of this magnitude comes with a cost that few seem to want to take on essentially. And essentially it'll mean that you have to pay more for your tips and tubes. So who wants to do that, right? And so we've elected to do what we feel best, and we make high quality lab products with as much of a minimal impact on the front end for the impacting the environment as possible.
Let's see, I see another question. What's involved with becoming a certified ACT label supplier? So the process is essentially vetting almost all aspects of the design and manufacturing protocols to determine the environmental impact of that product. And it's not free. We have to pay for them to validate our products. So it's something that we're just continue to do on an ongoing basis.
Yeah, and just as a point to add, it is also a tedious process to gather all of this information surrounding your design and manufacturing process that is often not in one centralized place. So that can also be something that strays people away from doing this, as well as the cost aspect. So it's a lot of information gathering on things that you might not have considered beforehand.
See another question, are your plastics certified to be DNAs and RNAs free? And the answer to that is yes. We test every lot of every product that's made for RNAs, DNAs free, and we have those certifications on our website. Let's see. How long has Labcon utilized solar power? So we completed the solar array on our current manufacturing facility in 2011. Yep, you guys are welcome.
Yeah,
you
thank you all for your
for
questions.
coming and listening.
Yes, if there are any more questions, please reach out to your Thomas Scientific rep, and have a great rest of your day, everyone. Thank you so much, Labcon, for joining us, and thank you all for joining us as well.
Yep, we appreciate it.
Thank you all. We really do appreciate it. Have a great rest of your day.
Yep, everybody enjoy. Stay cool.